or a system. Decentralization can be categorized at following levels. The first is private key decentralization. This is when participants are given to handle their own private key. This might not be required for a consortium between different organizations where user keys are managed and used at the backend itself. Node participation, allowing participants to host their own nodes and be part of the network. It might be too complex or costly as well as unnecessary for some stakeholders to do so. Consensus participation. Some parties might host the nodes but may not directly at least, participate in the consensus. For example, a smart contract deployed between two parties may not be something which a third party's signature are required on. Or an auditing firm would just want to read access of the node and not necessarily participate in the consensus. Decentralization of administration. This is where multiple parties are given power to change critical configurations or smart contract or even decide who shall participate in the consortium in a decentralized manner. These decisions usually come out of vote-based mechanisms based on which consensus is reached to apply such change. Similarly, there are levels of decentralizations. And what are they? Level 1 is technical decentralization. The first decentralization is technical. This is the one that comes up the most. Technical decentralization can come in several forms. At most simple level, it could be that there are several nodes that can do work. Also, there may be nodes that fully replicate each other's data in a P2P fashion. The point is that there is not a single point of technical duplication, or at least the capability to keep the core system running without relying on a single source of truth. Simply put, the minimum definition of decentralization of the technical decentralization would be that both data storage and data processing are not all on the same server. There are levels of technical decentralization where we can discuss how many nodes are they duplicated, how many can do the similar work, and how many are there. It is sufficient to say that the level 1 decentralization is the minimum we need to start with. Level 2, the governance decentralization. Governance is discussed less than the technical decentralization, but it's just as important to figure out a long-term plan. Governance decentralization can be at two levels, lower level and the higher level. Lower level governance protocols are the meta rules for how to govern the chain itself. These should be conservative and slow moving. This is the operating system of the whole blockchain and so should move slowly forward. Having multiple chains all with their own slowly moving innovation process will be of benefit here. Just like governments can look and see what works and what doesn't work in other countries and make some educated guesses on what they might want to try at home. Then there are higher level governance protocols. These might consist of who can be in the ecosystem, how can they be compensated, etc. Level 3 is business decentralization. Businesses that own nodes or provide other services on the blockchain can combine and create a more centralized set of nodes on a blockchain network. Companies, on purpose or by accident, may combine and bring together ownership of blockchain nodes that create the potential for more centralization that would concern others on the network. This is one of the aspects that, when building a blockchain network, the designers and architects need to be aware of. This may mean that governments need to create laws that certain companies can't combine blockchain assets. Sort of like how we have antitrust laws. We would have blockchain anti-centralization laws that would not allow a certain amount of processing power or stake to be owned by a single business entity. Also, companies can build into their own charters and agreements with customers that they won't combine blockchain nodes with other companies. Level 4. State decentralization. And last but not the least is state level decentralization. The ability to centralize ownership via government fiat is a concern. If, for example, a blockchain using proof of work has 51% of its server on one large nation, perhaps this nation already has some control issues. There is a non-zero chance that the nation might in the future decide that those servers are owned by the government. This creates a crisis of decentralization. The near-term solution is to make sure that nodes are spread across a lot of different nations and that stake and hash powers are appropriately distributed. It also may mean that we need to create several new sovereign server nations whose job is to maintain servers that are outside the jurisdiction of other nations.